The scariest thing wasn't the fighting. Our marriage didn't fall apart because of some big, dramatic argument. There wasn't a single moment of yelling, no doors slamming, no final straw that broke everything in an instant. It was much quieter than that. It shifted. It drifted. And one day, I had this chilling realization. We hadn't argued in months, and that scared me more than any fight we ever had, because at least when we fought, we were still engaged. We were still trying. But the silence, that felt like giving up. It started so small, almost unnoticeable. Our conversations, which used to go on for hours, became shorter, more functional. How's your day? Fine. What's wrong? It's nothing. We stopped asking the follow-up questions. We stopped digging deeper. We stopped checking in on each other's hearts. It wasn't anger that filled the space between us. It was just absence. A quiet, hollow space where connection used to be. The little things we used to share, the inside jokes, the knowing glances there just faded away. And before I knew it, the silence wasn't just in the pauses. It was the entire conversation. We were living together, but we weren't connecting. We sat on the same couch every single night, watching the same shows. We went through the motions of our daily routines, making coffee, saying goodbye in the morning, going to bed at the same time. We were sharing a physical space, but we weren't sharing our thoughts, our fears, our dreams. It felt like we were roommates, not partners. Even when we laughed, it felt separate, like we were each laughing alone in a crowded room. We were occupying the same house, but it felt like we were living in different worlds, separated by an invisible wall that we had somehow built together. There's a psychology to this kind of silence. It's not always peaceful. In relationships, silence is often a form of avoidance. It's what happens when you're so emotionally exhausted from trying that you just stop. You retreat into yourself as a form of protection, because conflict feels too painful or too pointless. When a couple stops fighting altogether, it can be a red flag. It can mean they've stopped caring enough to fight for the relationship. They've decided it's easier to let things be than to try and fix them. Silence can feel safe in the short term, but it's a slow poison. It creates a distance that just keeps growing, quietly and steadily, until you can barely see the other person across the divide. And I have to be honest, I played my part in creating it. I told myself everything was fine. I convinced myself that no news was good news, that the absence of conflict meant we were stable. I actively avoided the hard conversations because they were uncomfortable. I chose the quiet comfort of the status quo over the messy, unpredictable work of real vulnerability. I mistook that calm surface for a deep, steady peace, but it wasn't. It was a frozen lake, and I had no idea how thin the ice was. I helped build that wall of silence, brick by silent brick, because it felt easier than tearing it down. Distance is rarely a one-person job. Then one night, as we were sitting on the couch in our usual quiet, the silence felt so heavy, so suffocating, I couldn't bear it for another second. It was like I could finally hear it for what it was. And I just turned to him and I asked, "Are we okay?" It wasn't an accusation. It wasn't dramatic. It was just a quiet, honest question from a place of genuine fear. The silence between us didn't explode. It expanded. It grew until it filled every corner of our lives. And when I finally, truly heard it, it was louder and more terrifying than any argument we ever had. Thanks for listening.